Great pass. What a catch!
My goodness.
What an amazing catch from Vicky McFarlane.
Highlight reel. Never say yes to the jest. That was fantastic. Sarah Sarkin making a push for home. Misses 400 herself. 13 strikeouts for Gabby Snyder and one of the best pitching performances we've seen this season. One and a fantastic grab by Emma Burridge. Climbs the ladder and breaks it down. Atkins grounds this up the middle. That's going to score a run. Bruins score two. Deep to left field. This is back, and this one is gone. It's magic from Maslin.
Testing.
Good afternoon and welcome to West Beach, South Australia for the Adelaide Club competition. James Harris here and alongside me is Eric Bolner and Lee Hull for today's clash between the Glenelg Rebels and the Seacombe Tigers. And gentlemen, welcome to the broadcast. It's our final game of the minor round.
Final game of the regular season, Seacombe and Glenelg, two teams where not everything's gone right for them this season, but still a lot to play for in the final round of the year. A lot of pride on the line for both these teams who've been pretty scrappy all season long. So in a game like this, you never know really what can happen. So I'm expecting a pretty close contest between Seacombe and Glenelg.
Yes, I agree entirely with you, Eric, on that. And it's nice to see Barb Skapova pitching the last game for Glenelg. She's been off injured or carrying a bit of a niggly spot and been playing at shortstop for them, but she's out there pitching, so that's fantastic for the Rebels.
She's had a go at shortstop and first base, and she's sat patiently in the dugout as well as she's watched her team sort of have a back half of the season that they'd rather forget.
And it makes it an interesting matchup, though, with Jade Peterson on the mound for Seacombe, one of South Australia, a legendary South Australian pitcher, making a bit of a return to the lineup after having another child during the season. She's only got about 16 innings in of work this season so far, but it'll be nice to see her cap off a year and lead a young Tigers side.
Lee, do you have the umpires for today's game?
I certainly have, James, and they are on plate Neville Lawrence, the Hoff, Hall of Famer, of course. At first base, it's Kevin Tannenbring, Mr. T, and at third base, it's Michael the Flex Bendall.
Yeah, and we bring you the umpires thanks to MK Services SA, and we can't do it without our broadcast partners. Now, just on the umpires, Kevin Tannenbring, who's umpiring on first base, was up in the APY lands just over the last couple of weeks, and he was bailed up by a couple of the players, and they said, "We've seen you on TV." So they're watching on NITV. So hello to our friends in the APY lands. They play in the Far North West Sports League.
Yes,
so g'day to the
and
APY
the famous
lands
KT.
communities.
Yeah, KT usually goes up there for the last 3 or 4 years, I think.
You've been going up there in nearly a decade.
Yeah.
Actually.
Well, that's only 6 short.
Well, guys, we are going to bring you a lot of chatter, conversation, because this is the last minor round game. It's got to be the last minor round game for these two teams. The Hills play their last game today as well. They come up against the top placed West Torrens Eagles, and Port Adelaide Walkerville's the other game of the day, and they'll feature in the final. So we might even bring a preview of the games to come. But we'll start off with this game, the action for this game, and that's brought to you from Statewide Super MC Sportswear. As mentioned earlier, MK Services SA, and of course Softball SA and Spacequake Sports. So gentlemen, I might get one of you to take us through the Glenelg defensive lineup.
Okay, that'll be my pleasure, James and Eric. And the battery I've mentioned one of the battery. The two, it's Barb Skapova pitching the Montana Edwards. The determined defenders of the Diamond Sports Dirt are on the infield, and that's the Mead sisters, Taylor at first and Alicia at third. And in the pivotal positions, it's Bree McGee at second and Courtney Shepherd at shortstop. In the outfield, defending the green grass that's mown, is Caitlin Carroll, Regan Lambert and Jade Downs. And they have a DP, that is Lauren Jury, who's batting for Jade Downs, I believe.
And then for Seacombe, a batting lineup that on their day and when they're all going, they can do a little bit of damage. So it starts off with Steph Hull. She's batting first. Jade Graham second. Cara Schultz batting third. Jess Maslin in that cleanup spot at fourth. Era Munro batting fifth. At batting sixth is Ebony McLean. Batting seventh is Peyton Daniels. Eighth is Jade Peterson, and Jazz Blight rounds out the lineup for Seacombe. So pretty evenly matched teams, and it could be a recipe for a pretty close and fun game here on a beautiful day at West Beach.
Yeah, both teams probably evenly matched up now with the return of Barb Skopova. It's her first game of 2019 after battling injury. Key out for Seacombe Tigers is Jenny Dunn, of course. Leading off, as Eric mentioned, is Steph Hull, and Barb Skopova will be into her motion to deal the first pitch of the game. Steph Hull aggressively gets after this one. Maybe a little high, but fouls it off for strike one.
An ERA of 387 for Barb Skopova on the lineup. Certainly the best numbers in terms of ERA from regular pitchers that Glenelg has used this season, so they got their best on the mound today.
As I look through the Seacombe statistics, we can see they're missing a couple of the top hitters in their lineup. Chantel Lewis, Jenny Dunn. Although George Oprah only played the 2 games, she got a hit as well. Becky Havis isn't here either. So perhaps Glenelg might even be shaping up quite well against this Seacombe Tigers outfit.
I think so, and they look probably as strong as they have for a while. They're missing Glenelg, that is, but they're missing Sasha Panglaze, who's obviously working.
Just fouls this one off into shallow right field. Sorry, Lee, you were just saying missing Sasha Panglaze.
Yep.
So
but her sister is on the bench in this particular game, Tamika.
Well, Steph Hull has been a reasonable contributor for this Seacombe lineup. She strikes out swinging, and Skopova gets her first victim of the game, so a strikeout to start off for Barb, so a welcome return.
And struck out with the change-up, and I always remember the game when they played West Torrens and beat them 6-5, and Barb struck just about every one of the strong West Torrens batters out by throwing change-ups.
Yeah, you wonder what that season really would have shaped up looking like if Barb was here the whole year and healthy for the whole season as well, too. Certainly you feel like a few more wins would have crept up there. I mean, a 387 ERA, the next is 525, so it just goes to show how many runs they allow less per game when Barb is on the mound.
And this could be disastrous for the Glenelg Rebels. Barb looks like she's a little sore. Timeout's been called, so the Rebels coaches can just discuss this. See what happened, guys?
No, I didn't.
Looks like she's suggesting maybe she's pivoted on her ankle.
She just handed the ball over, though.
That'll do it for Barb Skopova for the season. You'd think the import from the Czech Republic, and might also be something that she will be, she'll relish the opportunity for playing in Australia, of course, but perhaps she'll probably go home a little heavy-hearted in the fact that she wasn't able to play the second half of the year, and her Glenelg Rebels have really struggled without her. So, well, one door closes, another one opens, guys, and this will bring in young Taylor Mead. Now, Taylor has contributed a little bit this half of the season from pitching, so Eric, you were mentioning their records before. How's she gone so
yeah,
far
so
this year?
she's got in for 5 1/3 innings. The ERA is sitting up there at 13.13. It's sort of hard to get a real good sample from that, though, because it is only 5 innings, so you have that one bad inning, and your numbers just sort of balloon from there. But a younger player on the Glenelg Rebels, a really good opportunity, I think, late in the season, just to sort of see what they've got. They've used 7 pitchers on the season, Glenelg, this year, so sort of struggled to find that consistency in terms of that combination of pitchers. They've used 7 different ones, including Montana Edwards, who faced a batter at one point as well, too.
Montana pitched the first 4 batters of an inning, I think, Eric, for 3 walks and a hit by pitch. So that didn't really work out for the Rebels as they would hope. All right, batter number 2 of the game is Jade Graham. She is up to bat with a 1-ball count. And Taylor Mead straight in there with a strike. 1-1 the count.
And the positional change, Taylor, as you mentioned, James has come in. Bree McGee goes back over to first, replacing Taylor. And in comes Beck Jury, it looks like, at second base.
Good piece of the ball here. Jade Graham gets a nice shot out to left field, and Seacombe have a runner aboard.
Well, a tough start there for Taylor Mead, just letting one float over the plate a little bit.
Well, this brings up young gun for the Seacombe Tigers, Cara Schultz. She's been contributing pretty well for the Tigers this season, up in the top 3 hitters, and gets after the first one. Great play over at third base from Alicia Mead. She took that one off one hop, fired across to second base, and lead runner is out. Looked like Jade Graham stalled. Did she think it was a catch? Statewide Super replay. Well, we didn't even see her in screen, so maybe she thought it was caught off the bat.
I think that's the only answer we could give James. Strange.
Well, first pitch again, and this is a hit from Jess Maslin. She gets that one in the 5-6 hole, advancing Cara Schultz over to second. Well, the aggression from the Seacombe Tigers, 3 of the first 4 batters have gone after that first pitch.
Yeah, and it's all really been after that change in the lineup as well, too. The difference from having a bit of a veteran in there to a younger player on the mound. But Arrow and Munro, this is a battle of two of the younger players in the competition right now.
Mead pitches that one in a little high. Yeah, we saw Araha Munro shoulder the load for the Seacombe Tigers in the first half of the season. Well, until Kim Reeder, American Import, came in to throw a few games for them.
And now with Jade Peterson back in the fray as well, too, to finish out the year, it puts her back into the field.
Well-earned rest for Munro, because she pitches under 17s as well. She played state under 17s and just miss-hits this. Alicia Mead has to come to get it. Gets it across to first, but Munro beats it out. Statewide Super replay.
Well, I thought she was going to be put out by two and a half steps, Jones, but no.
Great call from Tannebring.
Yeah, fleet-footed. Now the bases are bulging, and it's Ebony McLean.
Big moment early, 2 outs, bases loaded, and someone that can do a bit of damage when she gets a hold of it.
Well, McLean patiently watching that one in the dirt. 1 ball is the count. Guys, you get to this part of the season and you start thinking, what are the coaches going to do next year? What are the clubs going to do with coaching? Do you think this might be Radigan's last chance? This one just slightly gets away from catcher Edwards. Runners are looking to go. Cara Schultz had the best view from third base. That wasn't too far away from home plate, so she wisely stood where she was. Just Maslinelli overtook her, but no damage for either team.
No, it's a good question, James, and even, you know, every year there seems to be a few surprise player movement you see as well from team to team, and players coming in, players going out, so it's just part of the exciting parts of the off-season with the player shuffles as well, too. So beyond coaching, it's even the playing group that sometimes goes a bit of an overhaul as well, too.
Yeah, I think Ebony's just got no big hit here, just get the ball in a gap if she can.
That off-speed pitching from Mead is going to play in her favour, and well, a fumble at shortstop. Courtney Shepherd, she just couldn't get the ball out of the glove. She was waiting for the second base player to arrive as well, but Seacombe take advantage and score the first run of the game. Statewide Super replay.
Yeah, and you can see here, I mean, this is a bit of a mistake in the
Well, it looked like a routine out.
Too. It did, bit of a double clutch and then a bit of a fumble on the catch as well too, and probably a play that was put under a bit more pressure than it needed to be with the runner coming right in there. But that's how Seacombe get a run, and you know, both these teams have sort of struggled all year a little bit with just allowing a couple runs off of the errors, and you got to think going in the offseason, that's something they'll be looking to clean up going into next year.
Yeah, getting the basics right is how all the good teams play well, and you know that puts them in good stead. And then it's their exceptional players, their game changers that come in and can just add that little bit of dominance. And you know, Seacombe may have been 1 or 2 players short this year to make a difference in the finals. Peyton Daniels now, the hitter. It's after this one, fouling it off.
Now this girl can hit. I had the pleasure of watching the under-17 game prior to this, and both Peyton and Araha belted the ball off of Zali Adams, it was too, the A-grade Sturt pitcher.
One of the young guns of the competition, Zali Adams. We'll see her in action later on in the year for Sturt. Peyton Daniels swing and a miss.
And that'll be it.
Is called, and that'll be it. Because it wasn't taken cleanly, a force out will retire the side. So a strikeout for Taylor Mead to end the Seacombe Tigers' first batting inning. They did score a run.
Yeah, well, Seacombe 1, Glenelg nothing. That's the end of the first half of an inning. It takes about 10 minutes to go, and Lee will flip it over, and we'll take a look at how we just saw Seacombe bat. Let's take a look at how they line up defensively.
Thank you, Eric. The battery will be Jade Peterson, of course, to Peyton Daniels. First base, Araha Munro. Second base, Steph Hull. Third base, Ebony McLean. And in shortstop position, Cara Schultz. Left fielder is Jade Graham. Centre fielder, Jess Maslin. And Jazz Blight is at right field, and Sasha Mitzi is the player on the bench.
Glenelg batting lineup. It seems to be an ever-changing lineup each week, but there is some pieces that you do like in this, and Brianna McGee will lead it off. Caitlin Carroll second. Barb Skopova was slated to bat third, but we'll see what changes if there's any further ones coming with her leaving because of injury. Montana Edwards fourth, Alicia Mead fifth, Regan Lambert sixth, Courtney Shepard seventh, Taylor Mead eighth, and Lauren Jury at 9.
Well, Jade Peterson has just thrown the 16 innings so far this year. Of course, as you mentioned, Eric earlier, returning after her second child, and she's actually been able to face 78 batters, 25 strikeouts. So 1 in every 3 batters is strikeout so far from Jade Peterson. Of course, last year a strikeout machine, and a welcome return, seeing as that Kim Reeder has done her ACL. She headed home early, so another injured import player, and we do see both the injured imports, their teams are sitting bottom and second bottom this year.
Yes,
so it's a gamble you're going to have to be willing to take.
I think so, but I hope they thoroughly enjoyed themselves. I was had the chance to talk to Kim Reeder, and she said she thoroughly enjoyed it, but in her opinion at this stage she didn't think she'd be back again. So that's disappointing for all of us and for her, but once she gets over her operation, which is usually a 12-month job, isn't it, for the knee, she may change her mind.
Well, Brianna McGee will lead things off for Glenelg. She's played in just the 13 games this year, getting an opportunity now with the A-grade side, and will finish it off in that position. Batting a .143 to start the year here. She's put up in the leadoff spot, tasked with trying to get them aboard. Glenelg, of course, had to deal all season long. They lost their biggest star player, and Sophie Hoyle going into the season with her moving over to West Torrens. So they're looking for the next future replacement in that sort of star role, as you mentioned earlier, those superstars that could influence the games.
Yeah, they've got the Mead sisters, Montana Edwards. It'd be really interesting to see how those guys develop over the next couple of years.
This is chopped up in the air and just out of the outstretched arms of Peyton Daniels. Bit of a different team than what was the one from 2 years ago when they were in the grand final, Glenelg. In a bit of a rebuilding mode right now, but they've got a pretty good junior program, so you got to trust the process that there's some good players coming up through the ranks.
Yes, that's when they had Morgan Lashley.
And Brianna McGee rips this one down the third base line, and that's going to get into foul territory on the third or on the left base side. And Brianna McGee perfectly placed that one down the line, and she's aboard with a single.
Yeah, great start for the Glenelg leadoff. Just what you'd want her to do as if you were Coach Rick Mead, and gives her someone to work with. And now it's about Caitlin Carroll.
Caitlin Carroll, the best hitter consistently throughout the year for this team. Team leading 278. So she's been the leader with the bat this year. You can see Jade Peterson. She'll try to force the issue and go right at the strike zone, which it'll be a high-risk, high-reward proposition for a hitter like Caitlin Carroll versus her here.
Yeah, she's one of the top hitters in the Glenelg lineup, so she aggressively gets after that first one. Maybe just to take the Tigers defense off the scent if they decide to go for a short game.
Well, James, Glenelg this year, we talked about they lost Sophie Hoyle. Jess Neves moved club. Megan Wheatley didn't play this year as well, too. So there's a lot of players that they had to replace and bring up through the ranks. How do you think Glenelg has gone in sort of year one of this rebuilding process here? Well,
they've looked to their juniors, which is very impressive, instead of having to look around at other clubs and try and pinch a player from here or there. It's definitely rebuilding phase. They may have to look at picking up one or two and potentially even go to the imports again. Maybe use their contacts that they've had. They've had some great imports over the past, and Katie Bartlett and Holly Denny and
Morgan Lashley. And then Morgan Lashley, and also don't forget Jamie Mead was on that team as well too. So you had there's 5 players from that team 2 years ago that were all pretty heavy hitters and big leaders on this team that they have to try to replace, which is not easy to do, but we've seen teams do it before. And Jade Peterson attacks the strike zone and rocks up her first strikeout of the game. Strikeout number 26 through 16 and a third innings on the season. So Caitlin Carroll is retired with strikeout number 1 from Jade Peterson. So bring up Jury. I believe. Rebecca Jury.
Yes, the jury's in, Beck.
This is just her 3rd plate appearance of the season. So probably an unexpected moment here for Rebecca Jury, who entered the game not in the starting lineup, and already in the first time through, she's batting in the 3-hole.
Yeah, she'll get a couple of opportunities in this game.
And Jade Peterson gets her 2nd strikeout in a row, so 2 outs and 2 strikeouts.
Well, the leadoff got on for the Rebels, and the next 2 batters strike out, so they've failed to advance their runner, which is definitely the job that they should have been given.
Yeah, it's frustrating, isn't it, when you lead off and you get safe at first and you remain there at this moment.
Montana Edwards batting cleanup today. She's one of the bright young players as well in the competition, and you think that she, if she keeps her progression going, will be one of the stalwarts of the Glenelg club for quite a while. And you see why here. As she lifts this into the outfield, she'll advance Brianna McGee all the way over to 3rd, and Montana Edwards has a double to put 2 runners in scoring position.
And look at the excellent backup position Jade Peterson took then. As the pitcher, it doesn't happen a lot in A grade. Jade went to the perfect spot, followed the throw in. If it got away from the third base, McLean, she would have been there to pick up the crumbs.
So let's look at the statewide super replay though. It was Montana Edwards who got a great piece of the ball into centre left field, advancing the runner to 3rd. And the catcher speed up sees Carroll come in to run, courtesy runner.
So Alicia Mead will step up to plate here.
She's been one of their best batters this year, Alicia.
Alicia Mead with 6 RBIs on the season. That's 2nd on the team. Montana Edwards, who just had that double to put a couple runners in scoring possession, leads that mark with 9. This drops down low for Jade Peterson, so it's a 1-2 count. Let's see if she can get out of the inning with 3 strikeouts in the first inning. And this is chopped foul. Very typical Jade inning. She's got a couple strikeouts, and you have knows that she can get out of a sticky situation with a runner on 2nd and 3rd, but she does allow a couple runners on base, probably just because she does attack that strike zone so much. She's going to give someone to hit something eventually.
She's got a high strike percentage, Jade Peterson, throws a lot of strikes, so batters get their genuine 3 opportunities to have cuts at her. She gives up around about a hit per inning, but she normally will get 2 strikeouts as well.
And that's 3 strikeouts in the inning for Jade Peterson, and all of them swinging. So she puts 2 runners on with a couple of hits and strikes out the other 3. And classic Jade Peterson, because most vintage Jade of that all would be the 0 that's put on the box score as well defensively for Seacombe. So it's 1-0 after 1, and we'll head to the second.
It's typical what you get from an experienced pitcher like Jade. She's been around for a long, long time, and as you said, Derek, she might get behind the count, but then she'll just dust them out, and that's experience. You can't buy that.
Well, she had a terrific season last year, Jade Peterson. Last 4 or 5 seasons have been outstanding in that she's played, because she's had 2 seasons off with kids. So this one more like half of a season or 2/3 of a season. But she's been in the all-tournament team, or the team of the year last year, with her impressive amount of strikeouts that she threw. And a few years back pitched Seacombe to a premiership as well.
Yeah, maybe she's running into a bit of form later in life here, because she's certainly great value for the Seacombe Tigers.
Well, we'll see. It'll be interesting to see. She'll be one of the ones that will naturally ask questions. We'll say, will she be back playing next year as well too? You know, she's a mom. She's got a couple kids. She's certainly still got it to play in this competition, but life does get quite busy. So we certainly all hope that Jade is playing next season.
Well, I think it sort of shows, doesn't it, that because she came back this year, you'd think that she'd come back again next year.
You would think so. You'd think that you wouldn't come back in half of the year, even when the team was sort of out of a playoff race at that point when she was getting back in there. I think that sort of speaks to her sort of character and how much she loves the game and the club and gets involved with it too.
Games record holder at the Seacombe Tigers, and yeah, I think an indication there that she'll be back.
You'd have to hope so.
Well, they do have the young Araha Munro waiting in the wings, so maybe as she starts to get into the twilight of her career, that she'll start to share the load with Munro, who, you know, really got a great opportunity for the first, what was it, 8 or 9 games of the season.
And Jade Peterson, she got a hold of this one. It was going opposite field, but it was Jury that just sort of reached down and grabbed that one. So that's the first out, James.
Yeah, she's got her hands to the ball low and outside. Didn't want to leave it to the umpire to decide whether it would be a strike. So actually not a bad piece of the ball. Wasn't belted too high or hard or anything, but she got a nice piece of it. Jazz Blight up to bat in the left-handed batter's box for the Seacombe Tigers. She's wearing the Dragons helmet, so that shows that she did an international tour in the Dragons program this year. Asia Pacific will be in Indonesia, in Jakarta. Information's just gone out for that tour this week. Very exciting program for our junior players.
Certainly is, and for all you juniors out there, or mums and dads that are tuning into us, make an inquiry. Get your daughter, if she's that keen, or your son, to go further in their softball. That's where it all starts.
Gets this one straight back to the pitcher. Bree McGee looks searching for that pace, didn't she? Normally you just put your foot on and made sure she made contact. Well, we'll go back to the top of the lineup for the Seacombe Tigers. 2 quick outs for the Rebels. Steph Hull, who struck out her first turn of bat. That was against Barb Skopova, the only batter that she pitched to.
Well, perfect game for Barb Skopova in her final outing.
Excellent effort.
No, but unfortunate. You never like to see players leave because of injury, especially this early in a game. That hurts a little bit more. You know, I know that she would be looking forward to that last outing with her team that she's been over here with.
Hull patiently waiting there. She's seen 2 pitches for 2 balls. Trying to get herself into a good hitters count. She, of course, went after the first pitch of the game. Sees a strike this time round. Gives her nod of approval.
No, not bad here from Taylor Mead. She got a big strikeout in Peyton Daniels with, obviously, with a lot of pressure on the base pass to end the last inning. And then a couple outs to start here.
Ground ball over to Shepherd at shortstop, and just that slight fumble allows Hull all the time she needs to arrive safely to first base. So just they need to tighten that up, that defense, don't they, guys?
Yes, Courtney she had it covered, but the last minute she pulled her head up, and up with her head came her arms, and that's why the knockdown happened. But she's a young person in that position. She's played a few games this year, second half of the season mainly, and she'll get used to it.
A game of pretty small margins, this one, especially as you move up the ranks here. You know, maybe in other levels you might have a bit more of time to make that play, but here everyone's on.
Yeah, good point, Eric, in that you don't get a second chance in the A-grade competition, and you need to be able to take advantage, full advantage, if that ever happens. Well, high pitch for Jade Graham. She moves to a 3-0 count, so geez, a walk here would spell danger for the Glenelg defense as the 3-4 hitters come up to bat. Probably two of the best, or maybe two of the three best performers for the Seacombe lineup.
Well, they need to shut this one out.
And just adding Jenny Dunn to that lineup, and you know, it's as good as any team's top three hitters, you'd think.
Yeah, and Jade Graham already got a hit today too. You got to like, and I'm sure we'll talk more about this in the broadcast, you do have to like some of the building blocks that Seacombe does have, knowing that maybe the finals really aren't that far away.
And she'll ground out over to Alicia Mead, who does a good effort there. She's been solid as a rock for Glenelg at third base this season, and denies the Seacombe Tigers in the top of the second.
Well, that's what you need to do on this diamond with this dirt. The configuration of the dirt is you need to attack the ball. Every chance you get, attack the ball. Don't let it play you, because you'll be found wanting, and you could have done something about it.
You don't want to see it bounce twice. That second bounce can play havoc, particularly if the field hasn't been maintained between games, which of course is charged to each of the teams. They're asked to help with the maintenance of the field. So, but when it's been well maintained, the grounds crew come out, it's watered, plenty of water, it plays absolutely brilliantly, and this is one of my favourite diamonds to play on.
Well, plenty of stars on this Seacombe team, including Jade Peterson, who comes out to the mound now, building around Seacombe, looking forward to the future. James and Lee, you do have to like some of their prospects. You got people like Jade Peterson and Jess Maslin and Jenny Dunn, who are quite bona fide players already with state representative experience between them, and then players like Cara Schultz and Arwa Munro coming up the ranks as well too. There is quite a few pieces to like about this Seacombe team if they can get a consistent lineup in throughout the year. They've got some bad luck with some injuries in the past couple seasons as well too. You gotta like still gotta like a bit of a core going forward.
Yeah, they've had some players in and out of the lineup for the last few years, so that's been Coach Radigan's Achilles heel, is not having a consistent lineup.
Well, it is back to the Glenelg batting lineup, and Regan Lambert, the center fielder here. Very good athlete, Lambert, so she can get on base. It will spell some trouble as well, but she swings right through that one, and you can see Jade already going to the attack.
Love those aggressive swings from Lambert. Two big cuts at the ball. Patiently watch that rise ball, the second pitch.
It's a lovely swing though, isn't it? It's poetry in motion, this swing.
It's good to see that she can identify that high pitch. She's watched two high ones go past. Two big cuts of the ball. Can she get one into play?
I think she'll hit it over the shortstop's head if she does.
Wow, and that was tough to lay off as well too. And just as you said, James, good job from Regan Lambert to lay that off and make Jade Peterson work here. It's a 3-2 count. It's a strike throwing machine on the mound here. You gotta think it's gonna be one thing here. And as she swings through that, so 4 outs from Jade Peterson so far today. All of them have been strikeout swinging.
You just noticed that on that last swing, Regan's probably just taken her eye off the ball at the last moment there. All her other swings and watching the ball previously to get herself to a full count, had great eye on the ball.
Yes, exactly correct, James. Now we've got Courtney Shepherd.
Courtney Shepherd getting an opportunity this year. This is her 16th game that she's appeared in.
Yeah, she's. I remember her mainly as a catcher in the junior grades, but going out the shortstop, it's a different kettle of fish. I mean, somebody like Belle White has done it, but Belle's got a few years' experience on Courtney at this moment. But she'll get there. She's obviously keen as mustard.
Watching that one a bit outside, so it evens up the count at 1. Glenelg chasing the game early, but they're still well intact here, just down by that run, and there's Jade getting her to chase another one.
It's just experience by Jade, isn't it, really? You can just about read her mind what she's thinking.
Well, Peterson drops that one in once again. It's 5 strikeouts, the first 5 outs of the game, all strikeouts swinging. So vintage Jade Peterson already in this one. I think that's strikeout number 30 on the year, and she hasn't even pitched 18 innings.
Yeah, she's been pretty good so far today. Just a couple of hits, both to the left side, but guys, coming up soon is our statewide Super Junior Player of the Week. So we'll bring you that interview very soon. Peterson straight back to work, another strike.
Yeah, this one versus Taylor Mead, it just turned into the pitcher versus pitcher battle here. Taylor thrust into action earlier in this one after just one batter face from Barbara Skopova. Taylor Mead has played in nearly every game, all but one of the games this season.
It's a couple of games ago, I think both the Mead sisters were absent.
Chops this one foul.
But we've mentioned this many times before, men, that it's a thinking person's game. You go in the batting box, it's you versus the pitcher and catcher. You've got to outthink what they're doing. And when you're facing somebody like Jade with all her years of experience, it's difficult.
She swings through that one, so we're through 2 innings, and Jade Peterson has 6 strikeouts, all of them swinging. So Jade is grooving today. You would have never guessed that she just had a child, and she's back out here just mowing them down right now.
Yeah, it's gone through 8 batters, 6 strikeouts, and that strike percentage is as always, it's right up there. It's very high. I think she's only going to a full count maybe once, and just wasted no time, isn't she?
Well, we'll go back to the Glenelg lineup here. You know, we mentioned briefly talking about Seacombe's bright future, and I think we're about to meet more of that bright future in just a second, as we'll throw it back over to James, who is going to be joined in just a second here by our statewide Super Junior Player of the Week. We'll throw it over to James.
Well, thanks very much, Eric. It is time now for the statewide Super Junior Player of the Week, and we're very grateful for the contribution of statewide Super, I should say, and from the Seacombe Tigers Softball Club, Olivia Daniels. Welcome, Olivia.
Hi.
Well, Olivia, you are, we're going to ask you a couple of questions, but while the action's happening, I'm going to call the game as well. So, did you have a game this morning?
Yes, we did.
What grade do you play?
What do you mean by grade?
What age do you play?
Oh, 13s.
Under 13s, yep. Now, who's your coach for your team?
Kathy.
Kathy?
Pat.
Right, and what position do you play?
I play all of them.
You play all positions. What position do you play today?
I played pitcher.
Pitcher
And
today.
second.
And second. All right, Cara Schultz rounds out to the pitcher. So Taylor Mead going back to work for the Glenelg Rebels. Now, Olivia, I can hear a little bit of a accent. Whereabouts are you from?
From America.
From America? Whereabouts in America?
Illinois.
From Illinois.
Yeah.
Okay. No, that's pretty close to where Eric is from.
Yeah, well, I'm from Canada, though, so almost as cool as being from Illinois.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. So now how long have you been playing softball for, Olivia?
Quite a while.
Quite a while.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you've grown up watching. Obviously, your older sister
Yeah.
Peyton's playing in this game.
Yeah.
Jess Maslin fouls this one off. Now, I have to ask you, who is your favourite player in the Seacombe A grade team?
I gotta say Peyton or Jenny Dunn.
Jenny Dunn, she's got a bit of a cult following. She's got an Instagram page with her fans that follow her.
Yeah.
And you also said Peyton, so
Yeah.
your big sisters, you a bit of a hero of yours. What do you like about Peyton's game?
She's just hard on herself sometimes, but she likes to play.
She's a big hitter too, isn't
Yeah.
she? Yeah, she can hit. So do you do a bit of pitching and catching with her in the
Yes,
backyard?
Sometimes.
Yeah.
Sometimes.
All right, as we just watched Jess Maslin crush this ball out to centre field. Olivia, you like that one? You
Yeah.
give that one a clap? Yeah. So what are you hoping that maybe in a few years' time you might play in this Seacombe A grade team
Yeah.
alongside your sister?
Yeah. I really want to sometime.
Yeah. All right, one last question I've got for you, Olivia. What do you love about softball?
It's just my passion to play, and it's really fun because you get a hit and do like whatever you want to. And you can cheer on your people.
Very exciting, isn't it, when you can get a good piece of the ball
Yeah.
and then you watch and you cheer on your teammates as well.
Yeah.
All right, Olivia, I have got something for you. It's a certificate from Statewide Super and Softball SA. You are our Statewide Super Junior Player of the Week. Congratulations, Olivia Daniels.
Thank you.
Let's look at the camera here, take a photo. Back to you, Eric.
Fantastic stuff, and as we mentioned earlier, we talked about that core of Seacombe and some of the nice pieces they have there, but maybe their future star comes from the ranks of their under-13s right now, and someone like Olivia Daniels. So fantastic to see her there too. But right now we've got Jess Maslin over on first base and Ara Munro up to bat going against Taylor Mead. Mead has actually done quite well, just allowing the one run, really settling in. She hasn't got too much of an opportunity to pitch extended innings in a game this season so far, so it'll be nice to see what Glenelg have up their sleeve going into next year.
Yeah, she's thrown some really good off-pace pitches to the first two batters. The one that Jess Maslin hit, well, lucky she didn't get in the way of it, Taylor, because it was motoring.
And Taylor just staring back at the umpire there. She thought that dropped in for a strike, but it's going to bring it full with a runner on first. A pretty important out. Having 2 outs and 1 on feels a lot different than having 1 out and 2 on.
Well, with a full count now
Yeah.
as well, this pitch just misses, and yeah, there you go. It's very costly, isn't it, when you think it's pretty close and tight, and then next pitch you throw a walk. So runners on first and second for the Tigers. Guys, I just want to go back to Jess Maslin's hit. She's had an outstanding season. I spoke with Coach Radigan, and he said that this has been one of her best years. And you know what? She's fielding a hole out in the outfield. She's played a little bit of infield as well. So she's been a great player, considering the amount of injuries and omissions and changes that the Seacombe lineups had this season. So,
Yes,
so that's a credit to her game.
Yeah, it
this
certainly is. I think it's been her most consistent season that I can remember, James. She's always a danger, always a danger.
Probably since she won the Calf Coral about
Yes.
4 or 5 years ago, so
Yep.
where she had a breakout year. All right, Ebony McLean. Oh, and that was interesting, wasn't it? A bit of a change up. That's
Just trying to keep one of the bouncers out of it.
You can see the smile on Taylor's face as well, too, knowing that a little bit of a whoops.
well, the speed and the spin on that pitch, and Ellie went backwards.
That'd have been interesting.
All right, 1-1 the count, and McLean will watch this one low for ball 2, and that was actually the first walk of the game, Araha Munro, right before Ebony's come up to bat. So not a bad pitching duel so far. We know that Jade is dominant at the moment, but Alicia really hasn't done too much wrong.
Yeah, and it's only this is crushed out to the outfield, though. So that will load the bases, because they're not going to send Jess Maslin home. Second time today, James, the bases have been loaded.
Ebony McLean with a great piece of the ball. Statewide Super Replay will show it. She pulls this one out into centre right, and just a bit of a miss. That bounce just spun away from centre fielder Regan Lambert and just took her off her footing there a little bit. So maybe a missed chance for the Seacombe runner in Jess Maslin, who's on third. Peyton Daniels now, bases loaded.
What do you think? Is this the inning of Daniels? We just gave an award to the younger Daniels, Olivia. Now Peyton with a big opportunity to bust this game open with bases loaded at just 1 out.
Olivia's favourite player, Peyton Daniels. Let's see if she can get a piece of the ball here. It's this one up the middle. Jess Maslin will score. Regan Lambert throws it in. The runner turns third, but Coach Radigan holds her up pretty wisely in the end, because Bree McGee, the cutoff player for Glenelg, had the ball ready to fire into home. So Peyton Daniels, it is the innings of the Daniels. Statewide Super Replay will show the single and the RBI.
A lot of joy from the girl from Illinois, wasn't it?
Well, Jade Peterson's ERA is just 3 on the season so far, and she's off to a great start so far. She's got a 2-run buffer right now and an opportunity to help her own cause in trying to be the winning pitcher of the game. If she can drive in a couple here, that's going to be a tough number to come back, just given her own numbers.
I can't see her name on the list for hitting stats, so maybe that was her first turn at bat for the year just earlier in the game.
And it wasn't bad, it sort of went opposite. As this is lined over towards third, throw across the diamond, it's going to score a run, and Jade Peterson is going to advance. Runner off the bag, though. And I think it was already was there a force out?
Force out the third, didn't make the out at home, but decided to make the out at third. Statewide Super Replay will show it here. Bases are loaded. Just remember that Jade Peterson will pull this to third base, slight fumble, and her first instinct was to go to third, whereas the runner crossed the plate. So a couple of runs scoring this inning for the Seacombe Tigers. She attempted that out over at first. Jade Peterson arrives safely, and
well, the double play would have been huge. It would have got him out of the inning.
Yeah,
it's always
like
tough,
the double
though.
play was on to home, actually, because the runner was 4 or 5 steps away from home. But went across the diamond.
Jazz Blight comes up to bat, so it's a 3-0 game.
Yeah, watching that first one through for a ball, runners on first and second. With 2 out here in the top of the third. Gee, the Rebels defense have to hold up here for their pitcher, Taylor Mead, because they want to stay in this game. And good piece of the ball, but a great catch at shortstop from Shepherd. Makes no mistake this time and gets the Rebels out of the third inning, but they gave up 2. Statewide Super Replay.
Yeah, Shepherd was not having a bar of that. Was well taken, wasn't it? It was low to her left, but got a glove in her hand down and executed the out.
Well, Glenelg about to come back up to bat, and James and Lee. We talked a little bit earlier about sort of the core in the future that Seacombe might have going into next year. What about the Rebels and what? Sorry, what are they building on, and what gives them optimism going into next year?
Well, I mentioned it earlier. It's been a bit of a development year for them. They've used so many of their junior players, and that's it's going to hold them in good stead in the next couple of years to come. However, I don't see it happening for them next year, not unless they can pick up a couple of big recruits.
Or a couple returning players, maybe like a Megan Wheatley or someone coming back as well, too, that has that experience that didn't play this year.
That'd be massive. I mean, maybe you might find a couple of players from around the competition looking for an A-grade opportunity because of the success of their own club. I can't tell you who. I don't have anyone in mind at all, so there's nothing that I know. But, yeah, having a Jamie Mead back would also express interest from other players from around other teams, you'd think.
Certainly would. It'd be a snowballing effect.
But she's
Is Jamie Mead
doing well at college.
Coming back next year?
No, not at all. She's in her second year of college, so in her sophomore year. So freshman, sophomore year. So sophomore year, so she's still got 2 more seasons away from Glenelg. So she might come back when these juniors are cherry ripe.
Yeah, it might be a perfect storm for Glenelg to build towards that. develop a couple more players. Lauren Jury chops this one foul. Jade Peterson, if you're just joining us, has gone through 8 batters. She's got 6 outs with no runs, and all of them have been strikeouts so far in the game. We have reached the halfway point in the contest as well, too, in terms of time. Softball games here in South Australia, 19 minutes long or 7 innings, whatever comes first. And the first time that ball is really put in play, and it's going to be an infield hit from Lauren Jury, who breaks up that strikeout run from 4 straight strikeouts. There hadn't been a ball put in play since Montana Edwards had that double. So good job from Lauren Jury to put some pressure on and get aboard first.
Rebels need to string the hits together. You have a look at their hits. They've come from batters 1, 4, and 9.
Yes, this is be a good innings to do it.
Well, chop down the line. It's going to be an easy force out, but it's going to be called a dead ball.
Okay, so when the runner runs up the first baseline, they cannot take a step backwards. Statewide Super Replay will show her right foot. Watch her right foot here, guys, as Munro will make the tag and her right foot stepped back. That one step back in the right foot. So perfect call from the Hall of Famer Neville Lawrence.
So what is it? You just have to wait until the runner comes to you, effectively.
As soon as you go back, that's it. Ball's dead, runner goes back.
Wait or charge forward.
Here we go again, Statewide Super Replay. You know, as she holds up her momentum, that is when her right foot makes her half a step back. That is enough to make the call. So perfect call, as we said, from umpire Lawrence.
I wonder if that little bit of hesitation and that step back came from Brianna McGee sort of slowing down and stopping too, creates that bit of a hesitation.
That's right, yeah, her momentum, wanted to delay that tag as long as possible.
And you don't see a lot of that happening in the game of softball, certainly not at A grade.
Well, Brianna McGee, she does have a hit already, and she knocks this in, and that gets to the outfield as well, too. So the Rebels trying to generate a response. They've got a runner on first and a runner on second, and a bit of a misplay as well, too, is going to put a runner on second and third. So Bree McGee, with her second hit of the ball game, pushes Lauren Jury all the way around to third, and their best hitter, Caitlin Carroll, coming to the plate.
Actually, Bree McGee's out for stepping back, so that was Caitlin Carroll.
Sorry. There you go.
Statewide Super Replay will just show where this, we can't see who missed that, if it was a bad throw from the outfield or if it was the shortstop that missed it.
And good job, James, keeping me on my toes as well, too, as Beck Jury chops us in the air. A big effort there from Peyton Daniels. So Caitlin Carroll, has her first hit of the ball game, but it is at least another hit from another player. They got 4 different players with hits. So runner on second, runner on third, 1 out. Beck Jury, a big opportunity right here, but she did strike out her first time up to bat.
And with 2 runners in scoring position, I'm not swinging at the first pitch. I'm just biding my time until I get the one I want.
This is chopped foul in behind again. And some good hustle from Peyton Daniels trying to get there twice once again.
Well, we'll see that there is 1 out as well, so it's a key turn at bat for Glenelg, because if Beck Jury can arrive safely, it'll load them up for Montana Edwards, who's already had a double so far this game.
Or drive them home, and remember, Montana Edwards as well leads the team in RBI, so you want someone to drive in the runs, it's probably your RBI leader.
Crucial part of the game here, isn't it?
Big opportunity, the best one they've had all game. They did have runners on second and third earlier, but with 2 outs, and this is grounded towards short, and a bit of a double clutch from Cara Schultz, gets the runner out at first, and the runners will slide in ahead, so they do get a runner out, but here come Glenelg. They've got themselves on the board.
Statewide Super Replay, ground ball to shortstop. The runner on third took off on the hit. Cara Schultz figured, let's get an out. We'll give up a run to get an out. There's now 2 outs. Runners at the third base for Montana Edwards.
So a key bat here for Montana Edwards. She's got a double earlier. Can she drive in another one? You know that it's going to be attacking the strike zone as well, too.
Well, this is when we want to see the full Monty, right here and now. Hard, flat shot somewhere, score this run. Make them 1 run difference.
Well, Montana Edwards was missing a fair chunk of last season with the glandular fever illness, so she's been a welcome return. She's one of those standout players that we're talking about.
She gets a hold of this one, but it's straight up in the air. Cara Schultz tracks that one quite easily, and she brings that one in. So Glenelg do put a run on the board, not as much as they probably like given the opportunity they had earlier, but hey, they're right back in the ball game. It's 3-1 through 3.
Well, it's important to break that duck, isn't it, to make sure you get that first run of the ball game. That'll give you some momentum. They've had a couple of runners on now. They've had their 3 or 4 hits for the game as well, so don't count them out just yet.
Well, before we get to the exciting conclusion and last half hour of this game, probably a good time to talk about, we talked about Seacombe and Glenelg building for the future. Hills finishing their season later on today. They got a tough game later on. Hills, they were in the finals last year, dropped out of it this year. Just a lot of runs allowed this year compared to last. What are Hills going to have to do to get back into the competition?
I do have a soft spot for the Hills. I know a lot of the players in the team, but I would say that they'd be disappointed with the way that this season has panned out. Last year they made the finals. I think they made the top 3 actually, and just missed out on a grand final place. They've dropped down to 5th this year. They're way out of contention as far as points go. 13 points behind 4th place Sturt, and 122 runs against. So Hills will be looking to shore up their lineup a little bit, maybe look to some more coaching as well. I mean, it's a lot of effort for Tanya Hood, and just the commitment that lady has is unbelievable. Georgia Hood, of course, makes that trip up as well. Don't count them out for seasons to come, because they have got some all-star talent all through that lineup.
So given that Georgia Hood can really only play one of the games a week, is that something where you'd consider saying, hey, do we bring in an import pitcher and someone that can hit and play both sides of it, and then you have that big 1-2 threat, someone else in the lineup that you're building around a couple Hoods and an import potentially as well too? That would match up just as well with anyone's star power on anyone else's team.
I think they're a couple of years away from really getting their juniors into this competition. Steph Hull just fouls this one off. As at last week's Junior State Championships, Hills entered 4 teams and won all divisions. Division 1 in the 13 girls, Division 1 in the 15 girls, under 15 boys, under 13 boys, and they were all so dominant, all those teams. And so they're a few years away. However, they could be the dominant force of this league in the next, 5 to 10 years.
Excellent point, James. I was lucky enough to be up there for one day, and I saw the Hills juniors playing. They've got some terrific talent. So they get the opportunity.
And I'll just throw the question out there. I mean, they made the finals first year. They got down almost to that final weekend.
Well, ground ball to Taylor Mead for the first out of the inning. Steph Hull is the victim there. Jade Graham will be the next hitter.
So with Hills, did we maybe get a bit too excited too early, knowing that this team was so close last year in their first year of competition, where maybe they weren't as strong as they were last year, but I don't think they're certainly as the results would show that they had this year as well too, and maybe they're just somewhere in the middle.
I do really think that the impact that the international pitchers have had has been what has cost the Hills this year. I do know they've given up a lot of runs, and that does generally come when George is not there. I don't have the stats, so I don't have them to back it up. But she has been an absolute beast playing this season as well. So every time she comes in, she's the impact in the game. Sister Amber Hood is the leader of the team. She's only 20 years old. She's got a long future ahead of her as well. So, maybe just an off season.
Yeah, the as you mentioned then, the juniors are stepping up to be the leaders of the club, and that's great future, bright future for all these other people that we saw at the Junior State Championships last weekend.
Out of the 3 teams that we've discussed so far that have missed finals this year, the best chance for next year's final would have to be the Hills team. Well, out of the 3 teams.
Some exciting times for Hills, but again, I mean, you relate it back to Glenelg and Seacombe right here. If Seacombe get a couple players back in the fray full time, even start of the year, Jenny Dunn didn't start the year. She was hurt as well too. I mean, that's some serious quality that you're missing. Maybe you bring over a player, and some of these players like Cara Schultz get more developed. You never know. The Tigers had a couple games where they were up and they sort of fell apart late in games as well too. It's been a bit of a problem of theirs. They might not be as far as we think too if the competition's getting closer, especially the team above them like Hills starts taking games off a top 14 too.
Well, you look at their lineup, and these players are still in under 17 or lower age groups. Hooper, Schultz, Havis, Munro, ground ball to third base, and another one of those players in that under 17 age group is Jade Graham, and she grounds out to third base, and that is the second out of the inning. Now bringing up one of those other junior players I was going through the lineup, Jazz Blight, Jade Graham, Peyton Daniels, Sasha Mutz. So you look at that, half of their lineup are under 17, so you can tell that this team will be around the mark. I still think there might be 1 or 2 seasons away. Cara Schultz, the hitter for the Tigers, and she's had an okay year, 262. She's had 18 on base, 11 hits, and she has been a reasonably consistent contributor for the team. And has that ability to hit a long ball. This one goes foul. On in the count, 0-2.
Cara Schultz grounded out her last at-bat. Back in the third inning, they did put up 2 runs, and that's the difference-making inning right now. A 2-run third for Seacombe. It was a pivotal at-bat, which put a runner on when it was that 1 out and 1 runner on, and we talked about the difference it would make if they got 2 on, and there it was, and now you're seeing it here. But credit here to Taylor Mead, though, coming into this ball game sort of unexpectedly, and she's really done quite well to give her team a shot.
Yeah, that last pitch was super close to the outside edge. Cara Schultz goes opposite field. This one goes over, Downs head at right field. Schultz turns first, will stand up at second. And Seacombe Tigers have a runner in scoring position, courtesy of a double from Cara Schultz.
And that's huge, because now you've got a runner on second here for someone that has shown her power a couple times this game already. She's got a couple hits already in this ball game, and probably the best hitter on this team in Jess Maslin.
This would be a good time to pass her up, I would have thought.
3-1, you don't want to give up another run, and multi-sport player as well. We have many of those throughout the competition. Miss Maslin in the state women's baseball team, so she's got some good talent.
The reason I say, the reason I say that is because one of her hits lands in the grass. What's named that Cara Schultz will score from there. So there goes that 1 run that Glenelg worked hard to get in the previous innings.
And of course we know she can hit the long ball as well over the fence. I'll never forget that call from Eric Magic from Maslin.
Yeah.
That was a game-winning hit, that one.
It's probably been his second best call.
What was number 1?
I'm still trying to work it out.
How you going, Chelsea Cohen? That was my favourite.
Oh, no. Yeah, so he has a few.
I wonder how Chelsea Cohen is going.
1 leg at a time, I would think.
Walkerville, of course, have gone on with players in a similar ilk to her as well, isn't she? The Gabby Schneider, who had a dominant year. She took him all the way, which Cohen wasn't able to do, but she was a Cath Coral medalist herself, Chelsea Cohen, and this, of course, this year, Jessie Dresick, one of the nicest people I've ever met. She's very helpful around the place. As Maslin grounds out to the very busy player at third base, Alicia Mead. She's been in that hot corner. She's had half a dozen plays already, keeping her team in the game.
Yeah, so good innings for Glenelg then, because they got a run back, trailing by 2, and now they can build on this. As we see Sasha Penglaze dressed up for something at the beach, I think. Perhaps she's just come from work. Obviously not going to play any part in this game.
Well, we go down to the bottom of the 4th inning, and we could have a little exciting finish on our hand here with Glenelg chasing a couple runs. But before we get to the finish, I think it's time we start entering the F word. Finals.
You know what, I cannot wait. There is, I know the work that David Muggleton's been doing in the background for the countdown to the finals. It's already begun for me. The top 4 teams have been set for a couple of weeks now already, but we do know that the top 2 teams are West Orange and Walkerville. Today's games will determine final finishing positions. They'll play in semi-final number 2 next Saturday right here. Spacequake Sports, 4 p.m. But the first final that we'll see, semi-final number 1, between 3rd place Port Adelaide and 4th place Sturt. Those positions are set.
And that's a winner go home game.
Elimination game, yeah.
And we've been trying to go back a little bit on this, but a team, at least in recent memory, has not played in that game and gone on to win the grand final. So you got Port Adelaide versus Sturt, but it's certainly possible for both of these teams because both teams have some stars that might be able to carry them here. Is this the year where one of those teams from the 3-4 game can not just go to the grand final, but win it as well too and beat either Port Adelaide or Sturt, then go on to beat both Walkerville or West Torrens?
Well, I think Lee's got the numbers for the head-to-head games between the top 4 teams, but not for me. The last team to make the grand final was Glenelg. They came from 3rd or 4th, I think, and that was with Morgan Lashley. Unfortunately, Chelsea Cohen couldn't finish the season for Walkerville that year, so that left them short-staffed. So extenuating circumstances, you'd think, in that situation. However, with Katie Sutherland Finch on the mound for Port Adelaide, with the if she's on her game, she's one of the most unstoppable players in this competition. She's not quite up there with Monica Perry, but for mine and in my opinion, but she can do a heap of damage to any offensive team.
I think Wednesday night's game is going to be an absolute ripper. You've got the 2 young pitchers for Sturt in Zali Adams, and she'll be relieved at this stage, I would think, by Millie Fidge. And you've just mentioned about Katie. So 3 different types of pitchers.
Well, those teams have split each other in this season in terms of Port Adelaide and Sturt. It's 2-2. Sturt, funny enough, has played very well versus Walkerville this year. They've won 3-2, lost 1-0, won 3-1, and lost 6-0. So you never know. If they could get that matchup versus Walkerville, it might be favorable. But Sturt this year versus West Torrens, 10-1, 4-3, 7-3, 6-2, all losses. On the other hand, Port Adelaide, they've done okay. You know, they lost 2-1. They won 3-0, lost 6-4, and then lost 16-1 in a game that was like a Twilight Zone, watching everything go wrong in that one. And then you're asking about the numbers there. This is all provided by Lee, by the way. So Lee, thank you very much for these stat packs here. But Port Adelaide versus Walkerville, won 3-0, lost 2-1, lost 4-1. So I'll ask you, Lee, this question here is we do have one out here, and it's a 2-0 count versus Regan Lambert. Give us a reason why Port Adelaide could go on to win it all the way from the 3 spot.
Okay, we'll take one game at a time. I think Katie could be the difference, and Vicky McFarlane against Sturt. That's that game. Then if they go to the preliminary final, which will be the loser of West Torrens and Walkerville, I think they'd like to play West Torrens because I think Katie owes them one after getting belted for 16 runs off of 2 innings only last time they met on a real hot day here, but that was no excuse. West Torrens were just too powerful, too strong. If they had to play Walkerville, then there'll be a match-up between her, Katie, and Jessie Treswick. I think that could be an even game too. I think either Port or Sturt could go on.
Just to catch you up on the action here, Alicia Mead was the lead-off. She struck out swinging for the first out, and then Regan Lambert had a couple of big cuts again, but earned herself a walk. She takes off on the pitch and
slides in there, and we got a runner in scoring position for Courtney Shepherd here.
Well, they have leg speed, the Lamberts, don't they?
That was a big at-bat from Regan Lambert, though, sorry, because the first time through, Alicia Mead, Regan Lambert, Courtney Shepherd, and Taylor Mead, they all struck out. So Regan Lambert, who had a good battle with her the first time up there, gets on base, gets in scoring position. Now we just got to see if Courtney Shepherd or Taylor Mead, one of those two, can get a hit to bring them a little bit closer.
Yes,
sorry, Lee.
No, that's all right. I've mentioned it before. I rate Courtney Shepherd. I think she's going to be a player.
So runner in scoring position here, and a speedy Lambert on the base pass, that just outside.
Patient batting then. Love it. I love it. Runner in the scoring position. You don't have to chase the first pitch.
I'll weigh in on what Lee was mentioning about Wednesday night's game. 8 p.m. right here, Spacequake Sports, will be Sturt Falcons versus the Port Adelaide Magpies. I think the
This is grounded over towards third, called foul.
Dead ball off the foot. Yeah, the winner's going to run into
a freight train.
A freight train, exactly, yeah. So whatever happens this Wednesday night, they need to take all the momentum that they can. For mine, Maddie Cameron has been all over Sutherland Finch all season long. She's got to be one of the heavy hitters for the Falcons. Belinda White, Sarah Tonkin, that you could run down that list. Ada Brinketry or Ada Caruana.
This is chipped over towards second. Can they double them up? And they can. A huge double play. And Steph Hull makes the catch and wisely flicks it over to Cara Schultz. And it's a double play that gets a runner at a scoring position and much needed here. So when it just looked like the Rebels might be able to draw a little bit closer, a huge defensive play there by Seacombe.
Very important play as well. Steph Hull did very well to take the catch and then straight away over to shortstop Cara Schultz for the double play. So Regan Lambert, who would have taken off on the pitch, had fell short of the base by probably 1 or 2 steps as well.
James,
yeah.
it's interesting what you just outlined, because Lee, you just mentioned about how Port Adelaide has, you know, Katie Sutherland Finch, some great pitching, and they've got some great defense from players like Vicky McFarland. And James, you're talking about how there's a great lineup with some star national team players like Maddie Cameron, Belle White, and then players like Sarah Tonkin helping round out that lineup. It sounds like that classic, you know, pitching versus batting lineup matchup. Who's going to get through and what strength is going to take it through to the next round?
That's why it's going to be a mouth-watering duel, isn't it? A head-to-head, these teams, is that the defensive strength and the pitching strength of Port Adelaide against the offensive strength of Sturt. You might have some numbers there for me. They've both scored about 96, 99 runs each.
Yep.
It's Port Adelaide's defense that have been their standouts. Only 60 runs against out of their 23 games played so far this year. And they've split it 2-2 as well. They match up so well against each other.
It's a toss of a coin, isn't it? Toss of a coin.
As Arawa Munro leads this up, and we'll have to get back to calling the conclusion in a second here. So maybe in the next few minutes, though, let's talk about Saturday's game. West Torrens versus Walkerville. It's a direct rematch of what happened last year at this time in the win and go to the grand final in a lucky loser game, and the loser of that will play the winner of Port Adelaide and Sturt. Same matchup as last year. That was one of the best games you could have ever imagined last year in the grand final, and they are on a collision course once again.
Well, West Torrens have done the job off the back of the pitching performance of Maddie Scott. However, they do have a little ace up their sleeve who's thrown probably about half a dozen innings so far this year. So we see Araha Munro crush this ball out to left field for a single. So lead off a board for the Tigers. Clean up to bat. And their ace up their sleeve is Steph Trzynski. And so if Maddie Scott does start, she deserved to start as well. They'll have Steph Trzynski to come in and shut down that Walkerville lineup, and I think they'll be too good, West Torrens.
I'm pretty sure they'll start Maddie and just see how the game rolls along, and then Steph is the thing, because Steph hasn't pitched a lot of innings, has she? Hasn't pitched a lot of innings. I don't think I'd start her. What do you think, James?
Yeah. Sometimes you want to get some innings in to make sure you can go the distance, and so there'll definitely be a pitching change at some stage, whether it's Maddie Scott goes through the lineup once, you know, maybe they get 2 or 3 innings out of her. Then Steph comes in to throw the rest of the game. Don't know the tactics so far because we really haven't seen them tested when Steph Trzynski's come into pitch.
So same with Sturt, sorry Eric, same with Sturt with Zali and Millie. There'll be a change during that game at some stage.
And we'll get to Walkerville in a second, but just a quick one on West Torrens here. Last year, if you can remember that grand final, that absolute classic, it was a great game, but eventually these players were getting 4th and 5th at-bats at a very young Maddie Scott, and Maddie Scott, one of the best pitchers in the competition, make no mistake about it. But what if they had a Steph Trzynski last year to come out of the bullpen to give them a different look in extra innings, and someone that can strike out a side, sometimes it feels like with ease. And maybe that would have been the difference between a win and a loss last year in the grand final, where you're carrying that difference and someone to come in a bit of relief and provide that difference. So it'll be an interesting look for West Torrens going forward.
Yes, especially the quality of Steph Trzynski. She's an excellent pitcher at her best.
Runner on first and second, and on Walkerville with West Torrens this year. Here's a key stat for you. How many runs has Jessie allowed versus West Torrens in her last couple starts. The most probably dominant and powerful lineup in the competition.
I know the answer.
It's been a goose egg. She has played around with the best looking lineup from top to bottom in there in terms of getting players on base. So maybe that's the difference.
Yeah, 7-0 and 3-0 results in favour of the Jessie Dressick-led Walkerville Cats. Now, Dressick, we talk so much about Sutherland Finch. Jessie Dressick's gone under the radar a fair bit because, you know, Sutherland Finch just started out on fire. 9 wins and no losses in their first 9 games, and she was contributing with the bat as well. And then along comes Jessie Dressick a couple of games into the season, and she's just mowed down the teams. Walkerville have been top since she's you know, just asserted her dominance in the competition. And it's just been so exciting to see. As this ball gets away from the Glenelg defence, Araha Munro will cross the plate for Seacombe's 4th run. 2 walks so far, back-to-back walks. Peyton Daniels and Ebony McLean. Let's watch the statewide super replay. Low for a ball.
Well, that's tough too because it was ball 4, so the throw over to third really wasn't quite necessary, and it would have been bases loaded with not a run, and now a runner scores.
Or the 8-hitter up to bat as well. So catcher Montana Edwards probably just needs to work on that maturity a little bit in situations when you do need to necessarily make that pick-off play. And Munro wasn't off the base far enough to make that. She is trying to make something happen, so we do like that enthusiasm and aggressive play from the defence.
Yeah, the only problem is it's a very dangerous place to throw the ball, isn't it? If something can go wrong, that's very costly.
Well, the play over at shortstop was made by Shepherd, plays one of the lead runners, force out at second. Statewide super replay will show this piece of the ball from Jade Peterson to Shepherd. She takes her time to get it over to second base, who didn't try to make that second play. And so there is now 1 out, runners at the corners for Jazz Blythe.
Jade Peterson, first appearances at the dish this game this season. She's got on twice.
Both from fielders' choices, of course, and at the expense of other runners. However, she's made good contact, and you know, maybe that's something that Seacombe has missed in the year is the experienced players as well. Jenny Dunn being one of the more experienced. Jess Maslin. Now, Jess Maslin's only mid-20s, you know, like. A lot of these other teams have got some great experience throughout their lineup. Ground ball over to shortstop. Shepherd makes a good play. Ebony McLean has to dive in at home. She's safe because the ball's ricocheted off the bat. Jade Peterson's going to come in at home and slides in.
Wow.
Well, I see it, but I don't believe it.
Jade Peterson, the pitcher, has slid into home. Let's watch the statewide super replay. Ebony McLean head first, kamikaze style. The ball ricochets off the bat, and Jade Peterson was cold for all money, but the ball was low on that return throw. She slid into home. She got to put her leg out. Slides in, knees first. McLean, the first to score.
I tell you what, the ball made a bit of pace off the bat then, but the bat at the time was on the ground.
Big smile on Jade's face as well too, and that really blows it open here because it's 5 runs here late. It's going to be a lot of runs in about 15 minutes to chase down here for Glenelg. Back to the top of the lineup as well.
Well, there's 2 out. Steph Hull has only reached once so far on an error by the shortstop. This is where she hits 2 again. Shepherd makes another good play. So that left side of the diamond is key for the Glenelg Rebels if they're going to persist with their young pitchers and decide not to go with another import. They're going to have to load up that left side of the diamond, aren't they?
Well, with the time here, we probably will have enough time because they'll get to bat. We'll have to turn over new innings. We'll probably get a 6th inning in if I were to wager some money here, but we'll find out based on the time clock, but they're going to have to get a wriggle on here. So we'll wrap up the finals talk in just a second here with James. Why don't you run us down the schedule, and then let's hear everybody's predictions. I want to hear every game, just who wins each of the games and how is it going to play out.
Softball SA, Statewide, Super, MC Sportswear, MK Services SA, and Spacequake Sports will bring you the action live streaming every final at the Adelaide A-grade competition, starting this Wednesday. That mouth-watering fixture between the Sturt Falcons and Port Adelaide Magpies, 8 p.m. right here, Diamond 1 Softball SA.
And who wins?
For me, Sturt.
Who wins?
Port Adelaide 5-3.
I'm saying Port Adelaide 2-1. That's my prediction. All right, next one. Where are we going to after that? So maybe Port Adelaide, maybe Sturt have won.
Next Saturday, semi-final 2, top versus second. It's going to be West Torrens and Walkerville. We don't know who finishes where. West Torrens win today. They secure top spot. They're playing against the Hills Heat. For me, West Torrens, their hitting lineup's going to be too good. I know that you said that Jesse Dressick has held them to 0 in the last 2 games that they've played, but West Torrens, they just can't ever seem to put their full lineup on the diamond. I'm pretty sure they're full staff. They've got their full squad ready to go.
I'm going to throw a bold question out here because we've seen it before in this competition. Is there any chance that Walkerville do not throw Jesse Dressick in that game to just hide their cards for the big one in the grand final?
No chance at all. Two or 3 years ago, they tried that and they got beaten.
And how'd that go?
And they went out in straight sets in the final series when they were the best team of the year. This time round, they will make it first. As they say, you've got to make it to be able to win it.
And Lee, who wins that game for you?
I think Walkerville 2-1.
I'm going to say West Torrens 5-3 is my prediction. What time's that on Saturday?
That's 4 p.m. next Saturday, okay? So just a slightly different time for our broadcast. 4 p.m. next Saturday, A-grade, second semi-final, West Torrens versus Walkerville.
And in this action, 1 strikeout already, so we move on to the next game. It'll be the preliminary finals. This one popped up in the air. This is heading over, and Graham moves under this one, and that's the second out.
Oh, there even Mitzi it is.
Oh.
Out there, I think.
So
Mitzi came in for Graham earlier in the game.
Sasha Mutz. So what time is that game at? It'll be on Wednesday night.
So then the preliminary final, the winner of game 1 versus the loser of game 2, and that is again Wednesday night, Spacequake Sports, and it'll be our last Wednesday night broadcast for the season, and it is going to be a great clash, whoever it is. I've already been told if West Torrens drop their first final, Lana Kaiser will make the trip from Kadina to make sure she plays in that game. So it'll be her first Wednesday night game of the year.
So you had Sturt winning 1 and Walkerville winning 1.
I had Sturt West Torrens, meaning that it'll be a
Sturt Walkerville. So who wins that one?
Walkerville will be too strong for Sturt.
And Lee, you had Port Adelaide playing in that one, and West Torrens playing in that game. Who wins that?
West Torrens.
So we get to the same result anyways. I'll say the same thing. I think all of us sort of have a grand final penciled in our minds at least, for West Torrens and Walkerville in 2 weeks from today.
Yep, Saturday the 30th of March. We're going live on Channel 44. We were live last year, not this time around. Live streaming though, which will be replayed on Channel 44 and of course NITV. 8 p.m. 7 p.m. Jeez, get it right, James. 7 p.m. grand final.
This one slips up high here, and for that prediction, I'll throw a coin up in the air.
Flip a coin for that
match. Find out what happens.
Guys, although I've made the predictions, they're the first 2 predictions I've made for the year, by the way. I'm not going to discount Port Adelaide or Sturt from making that final.
We're winning it.
Great piece of the ball, and nearly a great catch from McLean, who fires it across to first. So Bree McGee arrives at the board safely. Great piece of the ball.
She's had a good game, Bree McGee.
And on the overthrow will make it to second base.
I don't know if you can rule out one of the, I mean, it's tough. You got to win 3 games in a row from those positions to get there. But there are some stars on both teams that if they get hot for a 2-week window in March, off you go. That's the beauty of finals baseball. It's the best on the day. And if one team's not bringing it in, the other is, that'll be all she wrote.
And sometimes it comes down to one play, doesn't it? I mean,
like last year.
One piece of the ball,
with runners on, you know, it could be, you know, anything to spark a side, and you know, you get 2 or 3 hits in a row, and that Sturt lineup has the capability of doing that. Caruana, Pippa Adkins, let's not discount her. She's in the junior Aussie squad. Maddie Cameron, Belle White, Sarah Tonkin.
But can their young pitchers handle the pressure? That'll be the story. You can watch it all on Spacequake Sports, thanks to all of our sponsors this year. So 2 outs in this one. Runner on second base. Glenelg really needs to drive a run home here. This is put out to left field. Does Mutz have it? She does. And that is the 3rd out. So we will get another, we should get another another inning in here.
Yep. No game called just yet as the players take the field for a 6th inning.
So the 6th and final inning.
Well, just on the subject of the finals, our esteemed producer from Spacequake Sports has been ramming home to me all this since Christmas that Sturt are going to go all the way. So good luck. Yeah, well, that's a big call. I tell you what, I'll bow to you and I'll salute you if they make the grand final, because you certainly know a lot more than me. Well, on this occasion,
if we go back to the very start of the year, I don't think there was anyone that had Sturt in their top 4.
No.
And so they've done a fantastic effort to get their 14 wins and 1 draw and 29 points off the back of fantastic pitching performance from 2 of our young stars of the competition, still both in the under-17 age group. Sally Adams and Millie Fitch.
What a story.
Shouldered the load. Every week she comes down from Port Pirie to play, Wednesday night or Saturday. She has been amazing. She's been one of the bright young stars of this competition this season.
So Sasha Mutz up to bat here to start things off. Taylor Mead, there's been a couple little mistakes from the Glenelg defense that haven't helped her out that much, but it's actually been a pretty decent performance from Taylor Mead on the mound today.
Yeah, she's done her role very well in that she's been getting a lot of ground balls for her defense. You know, occasional hit, and you know, just things weren't working out for them defensively. So that's actually something for the Rebels to work on in the off-season, is to sharpen up their defensive skills, because they'll be able to challenge teams next year if they have the same lineup as they've got here today. Maybe add 1 or 2 players as well, just like, you know, most teams would hope to do. They'll start competing, but they've got to really sharpen up their defensive. All right, this is Sasha Mutzi, and she's leading off the 6th inning for the Seacombe Tigers. She's got a 3-0 count, and she will walk up to first base. So lead off on for the Tigers. So these are their last turns at bat for the season. You want to go out in a high day.
Yeah, and they got the middle of the lineup there to try to shoulder the load here.
Schultz doubled last time up to bat with a great piece of the ball opposite field. See if she'll watch patiently or she'll get after one that sits.
She's got a lot of natural power, doesn't she?
Yeah, just really rips this ball, and if it's in the wheelhouse, she will go for it, and has created some havoc throughout the season, being able to monster the ball to the fence. She's had 4 extra base hits in the season, make that 5 with her double earlier in the game. Watches that one high and outside. Maybe even off pace there for a ball. 1-1 is the count. Mutzi on first base. Up to bat on deck circle, Jess Maslin. Will she be looking to go out with the season with a bang? This one here is low and just short of centre fielder Regan Lambert. Mutzi has to dive in there at second, and she arrives safely as the ball just misses the glove of second base player Jury. Kara Schultz aboard with her second hit of the game. Statewide Super Replay.
Well, a runner on first and a runner on second. And Jess Maslin to the plate, trying to put a nail in the coffin here. Maslin, probably the most, as we said, the most consistent player this year. And you gotta wonder, last at bat of the season, nice still day. Faced this pitcher a couple times, runner on first and second. Could she be swinging for the fences on this pitch?
Answer, yes.
Well, she hasn't hit a home run so far this year, guys.
She's looks dialed in. She's ready to go, and that one just outside. And trying to keep the runner in check back there. Let's see, thinking about taking a run, and there you go. So now you got 2 runners in scoring position for the power-hitting Maslin.
Great hitters count now as well. 2 balls, no strikes, 2 runners in scoring position. I'd love to see Jess Maslin get a hold of one here. 17 hits in the season, 362 batting average.
Great season.
12 RBIs. Can she top it off?
Well, that's consistent. Got to get one to hit, though.
Yeah, 3-0 count now. So, well, if I know Jess Maslin, she'll just watch this one. She'll put the team first here, and maybe then, if one is good, she'll have a 3-1 count to have a go at.
She'll throw the kitchen sink at it for sure. No need.
Well, anticlimactic.
Yeah.
Full ball walk for Jess Maslin. Bases are loaded now for Araham Munro. And she has had a reasonable season considering she came in to be a pitcher and has contributed very well with the bat. She's had a fair share of hits for the team and a few RBIs to go along with it as well. Gets a great piece of the ball, but a sharp catch at third. Fires it across to second and an attempted double play, but Munro denied by Mead at third base. As Kathy Lambert called before the first game of the season was played, Alicia Mead has had a breakout year. She's
Especially defensively.
Defensively, she's been great. Offensively, hitting .235, slightly better than Montana Edwards, believe it or not. Yeah, outstanding season and a great catch.
That was a terrific effort. And
Even McLean now up to bat. Now we're calling this like it's their last at bat ever, but for the season at least anyway, McLean has had a hit so far in this game and a walk, so she's been very active in the batter's box today. Let's see if she can get a good pitch to swing at in the middle of the ball. Has hit 1 extra base hit in the season so far. Not known for her speed, but she is known for that 2015 Under-19 National Championship win right here in Adelaide. Ball 3.
Well, how important is this pitch now? 1 pitch away from making this a 7-1 game.
Yeah, well, that adds a little bit more pressure on Taylor Mead, the pitcher, because if she throws a ball here and walks in a run.
Whoa, not so fast, Miss McLean. She started walking down first base, has to hold off just a little bit.
needs to wait for the music before she starts dancing, Ebony.
Just that strike zone opens up a little bit with 3-0 count, doesn't it? McLean, 3-1 now. And she pops up for an infield fly.
Wow.
And just like that, what would have been a walk you would have thought normally turns into a cheap out for the Rebels, and that's 2 out now as Peyton Daniels.
Bases loaded, no outs, into bases loaded, 2 outs with no runs there. And James, it's been the day of the Daniels so far. We had young Olivia Daniels win the statewide Super Junior Player of the Week award. Peyton Daniels already has an RBI in the game today. She's got on a couple times as well too. So can the Daniels theme continue here all the way from Illinois?
Well, they both played as well, Olivia and Peyton, earlier in the day. Olivia in under-13s, Peyton in under-17s. Lee said that he saw her crunch Zali Adams as well in the under-17 game, so it would be a very nice end to the day of the Daniels.
Well, Glenelg, you think if they have a hope of stirring a comeback here, they really do need to get this out there. It'd be quite remarkable to load the bases and no outs and get out of it. And they're not far off from doing it.
Davis pulls this one over to the busy Alicia Mead for the third out. So, well, pretty good game at third base for Mead, you'd say. She's been one of the statewide super performers of the game so far, but for me, you can't go past some of the hitting, the players who have hit well for Seacombe Tigers. Cara Schultz has had 2 hits, and Jess Maslin had 2 hits and a walk as well. Araha Munro 2 hits and a walk. So pretty consistent effort throughout that lineup, and they've all played very well to this point.
Yeah, and an excellent defensive inning there, and something that you could probably hang your hat on going into the offseason. That was bases loaded, no outs, and they didn't allow a run, and they still have a hope and a prayer. They're going to have to squeeze 5 minimum here versus Jade Peterson to get some points out of the game. So that's not easy as well, too, but we'll see how we go.
No, that was, like you said, that was a terrific defensive innings from them. Bases loaded, and they got out of it. A couple of great plays from Alicia.
We focused a little bit on the finals before. I know we've got a game to finish here. It's Seacombe's and Glenelg's last game of the year. What about the coaches, guys? What kind of impact will they make on the finals this year? You've got the Hall of Famer in Sue Tomlinson heading up Walkerville. You've got the baseball legend Andrew Scott leading West Torrens. And then you've got the Stars head coach in Morgan Young. And then you've got a 50-year veteran of the game, Butch Sims, heading up the Port Adelaide side.
There's some experience there, James. A lot. So there'll be no excuses.
Well, and a big shout out to Port Adelaide breaking a few years slump of not appearing in the finals as well, too. Finally breaking into that top 4 from a season a couple of years ago that didn't go so well, as this has popped up into center and a diving catch. What a fantastic play out in center field from Jess Maslin. That looked like it had grass all over it, but Jess Maslin, look at her dive in here on the statewide super replay.
Great piece of the ball from Jury, probably robbed of a hit there from Maslin, who read it very well off the bat, was aggressive, and she charged in for the ball. Slid feet first as well, secured that catch.
Well, Maslin thought she was down the beach there for a moment. Really stretched right out, horizontal to the ground, come up with a catch. That's a terrific catch.
Montana Edwards for her final at bat of the season.
Well, Edwards and Mead, who's on deck, have both had 12 hits in the season so far. So some pretty good contributions from these 2 young players. Mead still under 17, Lee, or has she just gone out of the age group? And of course, Edwards is in the under 19s.
They seem to be seeing the ball a little bit better on Jade as the game's gone on. She started off with a blistering pace. It's been a bit choppy since then, but she's only allowed the 1 run. It's been an excellent performance as this is lined over to third. Nicely picked up by McLean. Throw over to first, and that is the 2nd out of the inning. So we are down to the final out of the season for both of these teams. Alicia Mead, who you mentioned, predicted to be one of the breakout players of the year, and she lived up to that billing. She represents the final out at the moment.
Yeah, Glenelg Rebels looking at their future right here in Alicia Mead. Great contribution throughout. She watches this one through for a ball. Actually, you do look at their lineup, and they do have the potential to be one of the great teams with Caitlin Carroll, national champion, Montana Edwards, who was in Aussie squads. Alicia Mead had a breakout year. Regan Lambert in the SA under 23s team.
Yeah, she's what, 22 years old? She's the leader of this team.
Yeah. So some good talent in this Glenelg lineup.
Alicia Mead stepping in here. Swings through that one, so I believe it's 8 strikeouts so far for Jade Peterson, looking for number 9, which just sort of keeps right on that crazy rate she's got going on. Just the 1 run allowed. She's got her on 2 strikes right here. Slips up high, didn't quite have that one, you can see her Rubber hand after that one as well, too. So it's a 2-2 count. And a strikeout to end the game and end the season for both of these teams. Jade Peterson, 9 strikeouts. Seacombe Tigers roar to a 6-1 victory to end the season.
Pretty convincing in the end. It started out pretty close. Seacombe started to break away. They scored a few runs in each of the second, third, fourth innings, I think. So it was they just took full advantage of every opportunity that they had, and deserved winners in the end.
And who's your statewide super performer of the game?
Well, blistering pace to start the game from Peterson. However, it started to even out a little bit with the Rebels starting to get onto her. So I'm going to go offensively. Maybe Carashul, she had a couple of hits. Jess Maslin as well. Good performances for mine.
Lee?
Yeah, I can't disagree with that. I think Courtney Shepherd showed some real good promise for the Rebels there at shortstop. As the game got on, she got into the game, and Alicia Mead as well. But no, can't fault those two.
Yeah, I'm going to go Jade Peterson, 9 strikeouts. Don't forget she scored a run in the game as well, too, and got on base. So a memorable game for Jade Peterson and a memorable game for the Tigers.
Well, that wraps up the minor round for the Adelaide Club competition for season 2018-19. Just 4 games to go. There will be a 5th broadcast and final. 5th and final broadcast to go is the Hills Men's Grand Final. The promo for that's coming out soon. I am very much looking forward to the promo for the Adelaide competition finals. Tonight at 8 p.m. you will see all the, this is where it starts to get a bit excited. Goosebumps start happening. The best players of the competition will step up, and we will see the top 4 teams of the season battle it out. And that all starts this Wednesday night at 8 p.m. right here on Spacequake Sports. Any closing comments, gentlemen?
No, except that enjoy the rest of the day with a couple of good games coming on. It'll be interesting to see what Walkerville and Port Adelaide do with nothing hinging on the game at this stage in the late game at 6.
That's a very interesting point, isn't it? You say nothing hinging. Will Walkerville still want to beat Port Adelaide and take top spot because if West Torrens lose, they'll take top spot and they'll get that option of batting last?
Well, that'll be decided by what happens in this next game.
Katie's only pitching 1 or 2 innings as well in this game.
Wow.
Is what I'm told by Katie herself.
Well, that means that Walkerville will win that game, and there's nothing in it for Port Adelaide, is there? You said that earlier, just before, and if Port Adelaide risk it, and they've got no backup. We've seen that. We've seen that this year. Katie's their only pitcher, and you take her out of the lineup, and really there isn't a Port Adelaide team behind her. That might sound harsh to say, but she has been the backbone of their team, and it's because of all the strikeouts she's thrown.
Yeah, and that's the facts. So it'll be interesting though. But the next game, starting in 20 minutes on Diamond 2, is West Torrens and Hills.
Well, we'll wait and see the results of those games, but 8 p.m. tonight, cannot wait for the statewide Super and Spacequake Sports promos of the finals. So congratulations, Seacombe Tigers, ending the season the way they started, with a win. Thanks very much to Statewide Super, MC Sportswear and MK Services SA. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, everyone.